Hey everyone, how you do? Apologizing is one of the first things that we learn to do as children, and although it can be a pretty hollow gesture to start, as you grow emotionally and form relationships with the people around you, you come to understand the value and importance of knowing when and how to apologize. Now, as an adult, you might find yourself over-apologizing because you know it's the first step toward rectifying or getting out of a negative situation, or because you think it's the polite thing to do. There's nothing wrong with apologizing, but apologizing too much in the long run can actually work against you. It can seem insincere, it can place blame on you for things that are completely out of your control, or it can undermine other people's confidence in you and make you seem like a pushover. So in today's episode of Gunnarolla University, we're going to talk about 6 scenarios where you really don't need to be sorry. Just want to point out that in some cultures it is expected that you'll apologize profusely, so it's up to you to determine whether or not the advice I give today is applicable to you. Scenario number 1, working your way downtown through a group of people. You may find yourself saying sorry because you need people to move and because you feel bad for disturbing them. I definitely do this, it's a cultural stereotype. Sorry! However, when you really think about it, if you're in a public area, you probably have just as much right to be there as anyone else. Furthermore, for people who don't say sorry to get people out of the way, they may be confused and think that you've done something. So consider changing your sorry to excuse me or pardon me. It's a little more direct, it's a little more confident, and it makes it clear that you've done nothing wrong. If someone bumps into you, you definitely do not need to say sorry. But if you bump into someone, you may want to apologize and add, "I didn't see you there," or "I'm in a hurry," to make your apology mean something. Scenario number 2. Emails. How many of you are guilty of starting an email with, "Sorry for the delay"? I want to know, give me a thumbs up. I know I do it once a week, but here's the thing. Unless you've told someone when they can expect a response from you, there's really nothing to be sorry about. So instead of being sorry for a delay, you could thank someone for their patience. This acknowledges that there was still a delay, but it's just a much more confident response that's still polite and sends the message that you're a pretty busy person. Hopefully. Not just disorganized. Scenario number 3, condolences. Expressing your condolences to someone who has suffered a loss or gone through a traumatic event can often be very awkward. You may feel one way, but it may come out another. Saying that you're sorry or that you're sorry for someone's loss might be a quick way to move on in a conversation, especially if the other person doesn't seem like they want to elaborate, but you also run the risk of them coming back to you and saying, "Well, it's not your fault," or "I don't need your pity." That's happened before. Everyone reacts differently and there's no perfect thing to say in these situations, but you might find it helpful to shift the focus away from how you feel to how the other person feels or what you can do for them. Saying things like, "That's terrible, how do you feel?" or "I can't imagine what that's like, is there anything I can do?" might be more helpful. Apologizing in these situations may feel like the right thing to do, but ultimately there's nothing for you to feel sorry about unless you killed someone. Then you owe a lot more than an apology. Scenario number 4, standing up for yourself. Standing up for yourself, standing up for others, or standing up for what you believe in can often be uncomfortable, but you will never, ever, ever make a good impression if you start with, "I'm sorry, but..." This is not a good look. State your truth, listen to others. You may not be right, but you have every right to be heard. Scenario number 5, apologizing and expecting an apology in return. You've probably found yourself in a situation where someone hurt you and you may have apologized first, expecting that they would share the blame. Don't do that. Unless you do have something to apologize for, trying to share the blame only makes it less likely that the other person is going to accept the full consequences of their actions. It's much more productive to talk about the details of what happened, how you felt, and how the other person was responsible for making you feel that way. You might get a non-apology, "I'm sorry that you feel that way," but you made it clear that you're not the one who needs to apologize. And scenario number 6, apologizing for someone else's actions. You might have a partner or family member who's done something wrong, and you might feel embarrassed or sympathetic toward the person affected, but it's not your responsibility to apologize for the aggressor. Approach this as you would offering condolences. Shift the focus toward the person who was affected, how they feel, and what you can do for them. You should never have to apologize for someone else's actions. They're on their own. So there you have it, 6 scenarios where you might be needlessly apologizing. Again, there's nothing wrong with apologizing, but if you can minimize the amount of "I'm sorries" that you give out in your lifetime, it makes the times that you do apologize much more meaningful, and it also presents you as a much more confident, assertive person. It's still really important to know when and how to apologize, and remember that apologies aren't just about intent, they're also about effect. If there's a topic you want to explore in an upcoming episode of Gunnarolla University, let me know in the comments below. If you agreed or disagreed with this video, I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'll see you next Sunday for another episode. À la prochaine!